If you're an AI power user, you've probably hit this wall. You have a seriously tough problem, and you're staring at two options: GPT-5 Pro or GPT-5.1 with heavy thinking cranked all the way up. Which one do you bet on? Well, it's a huge question, and today we're going to find a definitive answer. So let's frame this up. This is the heart of the issue right here. When you're dealing with those abstract, high-stakes problems, the kind that don't have a clear roadmap, which one of these models really has the edge? We're going to dig into the architecture, look at the hard data, and settle this. And look, if you've ever felt a little bit confused by this choice, you are absolutely not alone. This isn't just you, it's a real dilemma that pros are facing, and honestly, there's a really good reason for all the confusion. Yeah, this whole situation didn't just appear out of thin air. It's actually a direct result of OpenAI's super fast two-stage rollout back in late 2025. They basically dropped two different, seemingly top-of-the-line models on us in a very short span of time. Okay, so to get to the bottom of this, let's start by just breaking down what these names actually mean, because once you get this, everything else starts to click into place. So let's just look at the timeline, right? In August of 2025, we get the GPT-5 series, and with it, the super powerful GPT-5 Pro. But then, just 3 months later, the 5.1 refresh comes out, and it introduces GPT-5.1 Thinking. All of a sudden, you've got two premium options, and it wasn't at all clear which one was supposed to be the real king of the hill. And here it is. This is our first big aha moment. Heavy thinking isn't actually a separate model at all. Nope, it's just a performance setting. It's you telling the GPT 5.1 thinking model to push its compute, its juice, to the absolute max. So you can think of it less like a different car and more like you're just redlining the engine on an already high-performance car. This brings us to the most crucial point. We're not just comparing a couple of brand names here. We are comparing two fundamentally different underlying architectures. The real difference isn't in the name. It's in how these two systems actually think. So let's use an analogy that makes this whole thing really simple to grasp. Imagine you've got a really complex, thorny problem to solve. What do? Do you go find a single world-class genius? Or do you bring together a whole panel of diverse experts? And that right there is the fundamental difference. GPT 5.1, when it's in heavy thinking mode, is our single brilliant expert. It uses a massive amount of power to think very, very deeply down one single line of reasoning. GPT-5 Pro, on the other hand, is our panel of experts. It uses its power to explore many different paths all at the same time. Let's dig into what that actually means for getting good answers. Now, the single expert approach, the serial reasoning, it's amazing for problems that are deep but linear. But, and this is a big but, it has a major weakness. It can be brittle. See, if it starts off with a slightly flawed assumption, it doesn't really self-correct. Instead, it just uses all that incredible brain power to build a very elaborate, very confident, and ultimately very wrong conclusion. It just digs a deeper hole. And this is the alternative. GPT-5 Pro's panel of experts comes up with multiple independent solutions in parallel. But then, and this is the magic trick, an internal verifier looks at all the different options, throws out the ones that don't make sense, and then picks the best one. This whole parallel approach is designed specifically to avoid that brittleness and to uncover creative, non-obvious answers. Okay, so the theory sounds great, right? One expert versus a panel. But to be sure, we need proof. We need data. We need a benchmark that's specifically designed to test the very thing we care about: abstract, creative reasoning. A test that can show us which architecture really is better. And that test is the ARC-AGI benchmark. Now, this isn't some trivia quiz. You can't just solve this with memorized facts. It's a series of brand new visual puzzles designed to be the ultimate stress test for fluid intelligence and abstract reasoning. It is the perfect arena for our showdown. And here we go, the results. On this gold standard test for pure reasoning, the numbers tell a really clear story. GPT-5 Pro, our panel of experts, scores a 70.2%, and GPT 5.1 Heavy Thinking, our single genius, comes in at 65.7%. For this kind of problem, there is a clear winner. Let's just zero in on that number for a second. a 4.5 percentage point gap. You know, on a benchmark this ridiculously hard, that is a huge performance advantage for GPT-5 Pro when it comes to the messy, abstract, exploratory kind of problem solving.
So our investigation is pretty much complete. We have an answer. But now let's get to the most important part, turning all this theory into actual practice. What does this mean for you and your day-to-day workflow? How do you use this?
Here's the key takeaway. It's not about picking one model and just sticking with it forever. It's about using the right tool for the right job. So for what we call canonical tasks, you know, the more straightforward, linear stuff, that's when you use GPT-5.1 Heavy Thinking. But for non-canonical tasks, the abstract, the exploratory stuff, that's where you absolutely need GPT-5 Pro. Let's just boil this all down to a simple two-step framework. When you need to think deeper along a path that's already pretty well defined, you use heavy thinking. But when you need to think wider and explore a bunch of unknown possibilities, that's a job for GPT-5 Pro. Deeper versus wider. That's the new mental model. And this leaves us with one final really important thought. We're clearly moving past the idea of a single do-it-all AI. We're entering an era of specialized cognitive tools. So the real question isn't just what can this AI do for me, but how are you going to evolve your own strategy to leverage both of these ways of thinking, to think both deeper and wider?